Right, Zach. We've kind of highlighted LSU's problems before, but what is one thing, or even a couple of things that LSU must do to survive in the regional, but really not even just the regional, but to get to Omaha?
I would try this thing where you score runs.
But you have to hit the ball.
That's 1, 2.
Yep.
2 hits. 2 hits against Ole Miss. Not 2 runs. 2 hits.
Yeah.
4 total runs in 18 innings in Hoover. One of those hits that they gave, so it was 6 total hits in 2 games. And one of those hits was clearly an error. I don't know how the scorer called that. It was on the Ethan Fry double. They gave him a double, and the ball hit A&M's outfielder in the glove, and he just dropped it. But whatever, man, we roll. I can't understand why this lineup can't hit outside of Baton Rouge. Now, luckily, you don't have to worry about that for the next couple of weekends, or assuming there is going to be a next weekend in the Supers. That it's staggering how much worse they are hitting the ball in a neutral or opposing venue. You and I have been to Omaha, and that is Baton Rouge North, but and I hope that carries over, because if it's not, for whatever reason, I don't get it. I don't get how playing a Ole Miss team that's throwing a freshman midweek starter, why he handcuffs you for however many innings. I don't remember how long the outing was, but I just keep coming back to 2 hits. I don't understand how the kid's name was Fresh Corn for A&M, how he throws 3.1 perfect innings out of when A&M is playing their 4th game in 4 days. And
A&M's pitching staff isn't that, I wouldn't say, are world beaters either. I mean, they're an average pitching staff at best, and else you can hit off.
Now, and maybe you could say, oh, well, A&M was playing for their postseason lives, and Ole Miss was playing for a host, and maybe LSU was just took the foot off the gas. But no, man, like, y'all are competitors, and that also doesn't explain away how the offense has been in a rut for 5-6 weeks now. This is, and it's ironic, when you think Jay Johnson teams, you think offense, and right now the offense is stuck spinning its wheels. So this, as much as I've been dismissive of, oh, it's Little Rock, hey, man, those bats don't show up. Little Rock, especially the team that's been playing really good ball, 5 wins in 4 games, they're riding high, they're hot. And like right now on what's today, May 26th, am I convinced that LSU, if it gets into a home run derby, can they outslug DBU? I don't know right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Now, I actually did some research on this over the, I think it was, yesterday. I was kind of looking at the stats of the 2 games in the SEC tournament, and these 3 things kind of stood out to me the most. If you look at LSU's overall hitting, let's start with this. If you look at LSU's overall hitting, of course, we all mentioned the 2-hit game against Ole Miss. Really, might be 5 hits, but it doesn't matter. They went 6 for 54 from at the plate. 6 of 54. That's 111, 0.111, right? And your ideal batting average, right, when you think of it as a team, you want to be around 300, as close to 300 as possible, right? You batted 111, and let's just say, Zach, because I know you mentioned the hit that should have been an error, but it was ruled a hit. And if you take away that 1 hit, that's 5 of 54. Well, actually, it would be 5 of 53. If you did the same thing, it would be 0.94.
My God!
And those 2 games, if you said that it should have been an error, they would have batted 0.94 on the weekend.
Oh my God!
One of those games was against an average pitching staff against A&M. And it's not like, oh, well, they're struggling against good pitching staffs. They literally went up against Auburn's pitching staff and A&M's pitching staff in good and hit lick. South Carolina, another average pitching staff, maybe bad. Or they don't have a great pitching staff either. They couldn't hit worth a crap. And those are the things that worries me more than the bullpen, right? Look, the bullpens are always going to give a run. They're going to give up a run here and there. They're the bullpen. There's a reason why they're not the stars, but they're guys you rely on to get you out of a tricky situation, not guys who can pitch for long distances, right? Lucky for LSU, you have two guys in Cade Anderson and Anthony Iverson that can literally take over a game by themselves to the point where you don't have to bring in those bullpen guys. But the issue in those games where they're balling out, LSU can't hit worth a crap. Right? There's been so many times where LSU had to score runs in the 8th and 9th inning for them to even be in a game. Yeah. And you shouldn't have to. You can't do that. I get sometimes if that happens in baseball, it's going to happen in baseball. But the problem is it's happened too often. And when you get in the postseason play, you're going to be going up against better pitch staffs than the one you're going to see during the regular season. It's postseason baseball. Now, I expect the starting rotation to be awesome. I expect the bullpen to be great going into postseason play because that's how it's always been under Jay Johnson. The bullpen always gets better as you get later into the season. But the issue is the bats haven't come through, and that's not necessarily in Jay Johnson whatnot. And because Jay Johnson has always had great batters wherever he may go, whether it was at Arizona, whether it's been at LSU, and even when he was assistant coaches, the offenses were always great. And look, the offense is still great in some aspects, right? Yeah. They can still produce runs, but the problem is they're not hitting on a consistent basis, and the guys you expect to be good hitters aren't producing. Like we've mentioned that, what's his name? Monster Milam.
Stephen Milam's hitting like 200 in SEC games.
Yeah, I mean he's been disappointing all throughout. I mean, really, not only just in SEC play, but all throughout the season. Right now, Stephen Milam's batting .277 on the year, but look, if you look at the total statistics, counting everything, all the games together, you have 5 batters that are hitting. You have 6 batters that are hitting 300, right? And that's pretty good, right? Look, they're very solid. They all are very solid hitters. But the issue is once you get into SEC play, and let me see if they have it here, because they might have taken it off since then. Where is it? Because they usually have the SEC. There you go. And SEC, no, they don't have it anymore. But for a while in SEC play, LSU, they only had 1-2 guys were hitting 300, and usually that was Chris Stanfield and Derek Curiel.
Yeah.
Right, and I don't know where they put the SEC total stats right now. Because usually they used to have it up there with the total stats, but Zach has been bad. They've been bad in SEC play.
Yeah, Jones is starting to chase a little bit again. He's kind of falling into those bad habits. We've said our piece about Milam being a 200-ish hitter in SEC play, but they've been better at home, and guess what? You're probably going to be home for the next 2 weekends. Is that enough to, wake up and get back hot again? Maybe. I can't say that I'm super confident in that, but a good way to bust out of a slump is, again, not trying to disparage Little Rock, but if there was ever a team to wake up against, it's going to be Little Rock. Friday afternoon, so we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
if they can't score 6 or 7 runs against Little Rock, I'm gonna be worried.
Yeah. I mean, you should, and you even go into super regional. Let's say hypothetically you play a team like Clemson. I'm not sure if I think how Clemson should get out of the regional, but that again is a very tough regional. But Clemson is a very good team. Right, they've been a seeded team the last couple of seasons, and they also have a great coach, in Bakich. Right, Bakich has done a great job at both, not only at Clemson, but he also led Michigan to the World Series championship, where they ultimately lost against Vanderbilt. Right, and he exceeded expectations of Michigan, and of course has brought Clemson's baseball team back to prominence. Like Clemson. If you look at Clemson's baseball tradition, they've always had some really great teams, but they could never get over the hump. And Bakich could do that with Clemson. but you don't want LSU to be that team. And when LSU's have these issues right now with the bats, it's not great. It's not a great situation to be in, especially when you get into postseason play, right? Usually you expect, LSU, okay, hey, look, they're improving this back. We want to see them improving in certain aspects, but all throughout conference play and even that state tournament, they've been struggling at the plate, right? So the fact that we're even still talking about this going into postseason play is really concerning, and they have to right the ship really fast, because if they keep having these problems, they're not going to be in Omaha, period.
And if they do, they might go 2-Q with the quality of pitching that they would likely face in Omaha.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. But